what the next step physically to do. I know what the spiritual step is, but the physical step, I always say this: involvement, getting involved with something. The medicine woman that I dealt with for a long time always said, get involved with something in your city or town, and then get involved with something with the world. Obviously, you can't go around the world to get involved with the world. In the city, you can go to do your thing. So you get involved both ways and give to whatever you can to both. So this way you help in one way or another. But non-involvement, hiding from it, sticking your head in the ground, or just denying it is not the answer for mankind. Never was. And now what takes that desire away is all the things that they're forcing on the people. Well, they're trying to stop opioids, which is the most ridiculous thing. Trying to push them on marijuana oil now because they decided that we should make that legal. In a way, they push people into doing these things. Wow, the sick people are going to die. The young children are dying from all these weird things now. But it's always has been about population depletion. Now, if people realize, when we say, or I say, they killed the native people, people have no clue how many native people were here. You know, most people think there was only hundreds of thousands of native people here. They have no clue that there was 50 million native people that were slaughtered in 400 years.
Really?
Just put it on a piece of paper and look at it. It's a horrible number, a ridiculous number. And people justify it. We justify killing all those native people for what reason?
Now, what geographic area are you talking about for that many people?
All native people. All the tribes.
Oh, okay.
There's 550 tribes, all of them. The Mayans.
Yeah, North America, South America, all that, right?
Yeah, all the tribes together.
Right.
I mean, but there was a lot in the United States. But to think we slaughtered all of them is not we, whoever, and accepted it and pretended like it never happened. Because nothing was ever given back to the native people. And it's still not today. So,
right.
I mean, I'd love to do a couple of shows. I have a few people I'm trying to bring on. I'm waiting for them to get back to me, especially this woman up in Alaska who's dealing with multiple things going on there. It's sad, every level, what they do to them and stuff. Wow, they're still fracking up there even now. And they're having earthquakes and you name it. It's sad. So,
yeah, there's so much going on the planet right now that's negative, so it's really time for people to understand their spirituality.
No, you got the programming by the names I mentioned so many times over the past 2 shows I did. I'm not going to repeat them all again. What they're promoting, what they're telling people, what they're brainwashing people to believe. And the only reason why they're allowed to do it is because the government wants them to. Go ahead, tell everybody everything's okay. We want them to believe that. Imagine if every spiritual person or claimed to be spiritual person said, check out your government, check out the laws, check out what they're doing. How long do you think they would stay in that position? I know in the UFO world, people talking any truth are taken out. The stories, I mean, Fire in the Sky, he did a movie, the whole thing. Nothing's done about that. But go to the ones that were telling what the government was really doing. And I'll tell you this. And the United States and Russia had a war with an alien race. Twice we defended the United States and the world. Trump was asked to bring out the truth about it by Mr. Putin himself. Mr. Putin said, and I got his words exactly, 37 races are dealing with that. 2 races want to destroy the planet. So Putin said that publicly, and then he said he wanted Trump to tell the truth what they're doing because the United States was involved with what we did to these alien races. And then talking to people inside the base here, what's happening, what's going to happen is scary. But people don't want that truth. They want to know the good alien's going to save us. It's like you're programmed to believe the man on the white horse is going to come in and save you. It's a great idea. It's a great wish or dream. Like Barbara Marx Hubbard is a visionary. And she talks about these beautiful visions. I said, it's great to have a vision, but to believe that it's going to happen and make the world a better place. The Dalai Lama said, and I only heard him say it like last month, he said, well, maybe in 4 generations of reincarnating of this world, there'll be a peace. Be at peace with what? With your ego, with your mind, with what? When we say peace of what? What's peace for one, peace for another? Peace in relationship means you can't fight with your wife? I mean, what kind of peace are you talking about? That we're not going to shoot each other? We can just stab each other? I mean, the whole concept of peace is ridiculous. To think how multiple tribes, which we became, all believing in multiple different things, could ever agree on one thing and say, well, that's right. Well, they can't agree on killing's a bad thing. I mean, that would be a starting point. If the whole world realized you couldn't kill somebody, even a murderer, who has the right to take that person's life? And I get upset when I hear, well, put him in a box, let him starve to death and die, but don't kill him. Living on planet Earth is a slow death no matter how you look at it, so what's the difference? I mean, when these people in prison get sports games to play, weightlifting, watch movies, why? They rape children and they're enjoying themselves, getting fed. They don't have to work. While these people out there have to pay $150,000 for each person in jail. Does that make any sense to a society that's trying to become spiritual? Now, I wish I remember what country it was, but I watched a movie on it, and they showed inside this one prison. It's called the 3-Ring Circus. The outer ring is for the people, the prisoners that are getting ready to leave the prison. The middle ring is for all the prisoners. The center ring is for the mass murderers, killers, and everybody. They're in the pit of the prison. They don't get fed. If a prisoner throws a bone over the fence to them, that's what they get to eat. If nobody throws anything in there, they don't get anything to eat. The ones in the middle will cut your finger off for a cigarette. They'll do anything. And the only ones that have any chance are the ones that are on the outside ring, which will be released in a period of time. But is it just? It's just in one way. I look at the movie Escape from New York. If you never saw it, watch it. New York City was surrounded by a barbed wire fence and became a prison. And I really feel that would be the smartest thing for a government to do. Let them do what they want. Let them play what they want. Let them kill each other. It's all their karma. But what happened in the movie, the president falls into there and he gets trapped in there and they have to rescue him. So, again, it's a movie. But the idea of creating a prison where they don't get all the things that we feel that, well, they're people, they're human, they deserve. They don't if you kill or hurt a child, period. Or hurt a woman. No, there's no justification for that. If you read the 10 Commandments and even understand them, whether you believe whoever created them or not, they're really important laws that a human could live by and not be a problem to society. Moses' laws, on the other hand, are ridiculous. I wouldn't even say try to read any of them. They're all stupid and ignorant. But the 10 Commandments, which Moses didn't write, were much more important. So, again, when we try to move forward, here's an idea I came with. And I know it's so far off the subject of being spiritual, but what does spiritual really mean in this world, on this planet? Well, my idea was to create a system to find out if somebody's guilty or not in a crime. Now, how many times we hear an innocent person went to jail for 5 years and they came out with the evidence later and all these different scenarios? Well, I say create the foundation to be a lot more critical and judgmental, and then you can determine if the person's guilty or not in the first place. And here's the way I would suggest doing it. First off, we're in 2018. We have a lot of really good psychics out there at some levels to do energy reading, which is really important. Well, you get 10 psychics in a room with this person that's considered innocent or guilty, innocent in the United States until guilty, right? But put them in a room and let them ask them questions for an hour or two. Let them decide what they feel and put a decision on that. Now they take that person, give them a lie detector test. And they take that piece of paper, put it alongside the other sheet of paper, which the psychic said is real or not. Then the third step is you inject the person with truth. And then you ask them the questions. Very few people have ever lied underneath truth serum. I mean, right now they got like 6 or 7 different kinds of truth serums, but maybe they have to take 3 of them and then get questions asked. Then you put them through a real court system with judges, male and female, equal numbers and everything else, and then go through that part of the court system with whatever real evidence they have for the person. No hearsay evidence, because people could be paid to say whatever they want. Because hearsay evidence is probably the worst evidence in court. Because it's always a person's opinion or viewpoint. So after all that, you put it all together, then you can say, hey, this person has been guilty under all these situations, admitted to murdering a person. Right then and there, he's guilty. We don't have to say, or put him through another court system, which could take a year, 2 years, whatever. Just make the decision right then and there. All right? And give him a sentence that's just, no crime should have a different sentence. If a person raped a child, they should be in jail for 25 years. There should be no 2 years, 2 months, 6 months, 8 months, 10 years, 3 months. Shouldn't be difference on a judge's viewpoint at the time. Men are always impartial to a man being convicted. Because they always feel if I was being convicted, I wouldn't want them to give me a life sentence. It's always in their protection of man, not the guilty party. When the movie came out with Jodie Foster, and she was in a bar in New York City and got raped by 10 people, while all the people in the bar watched. All right, I'm not sure whether it was 2 or 3 went to court, went to jail. 3 of them were let go, and nothing was done to the people that sat there and watched it. To me, that is the sickest scenario of an unjust system. How could one person rape a person and another person rape the same person and one gets away with it? Well, he was forced. Nobody's forced to do anything, or the idea of that. So the concepts that we accept in the court system, and basically, you can't get a good lawyer unless you have a lot of money. So poor people get lousy judges or court people that work with them, or people protecting them. I know I was going to court for a stupid thing, and they said, oh, you can get a lawyer. And then when I got to the court, they said, oh, no, this is a crime. You can't have a judge. I said, what do you mean I can't have anybody on my side? Well, it's just that and the other thing. Luckily, it didn't matter. But on the other hand is we need a system that is just and fair and right and makes sure that the right people get convicted. I mean, we know if a murderer or a famous named person goes to court, like Mr. O.J. Simpson. Do you know I was in the office with like 25 people. When they said O.J. Simpson was freed, they all stood up and started clapping. And I went out there and said, does anybody know whether he really did it or not? And just because
Rosie
he's black...
Greer knew. He confessed to Rosie Greer.
Well, what I'm saying is he was freed in the court case.
Right.
And these people stood up cheering. Well, we had a lot of black people in the office. Tell me that's not prejudiced. This is a murder. I mean, everything he did proved he was an idiot, and all along the way. And then what he did afterwards, after he was freed, he still gets convicted of other things. I mean, how far do you got to go? And here's a serious problem. Bill Cosby funded him greatly. Bill Cosby was a criminal. Like I said, men protect men because they're afraid it could happen to them. And guess what? Bill Cosby is still in trouble. And him serve whatever he gets, or he should get something serious to prove that he was guilty. But you watch the system, people with money pretty much move around in there freely and even get out of it. Is that a just system? Of course not. But is the United States based on poor people or rich people? There's a very few rich people compared to poor people, but the rich people control the laws for the poor people. So again, when a person says spiritual,